they feel comfortable with you, they're going to open up. Sorry about that. I'm going to fix the screen. So open-ended questions is a great way to try and, especially if you have someone there that's sort of introverted and very quiet, you get them to open up with open-ended questions. And of course, listening skills. If you're sitting there and you're doing everything and you're trying all these different techniques, but the client doesn't think that you're really listening to them, that you're really empathetic, you can have a problem. So listening skills are critical. You want to try and have 0 interruptions during the initial interview. You want to make sure that your cell phone is off, that you're not, calls aren't coming in unless it's a real emergency. Obviously, there are exceptions if it's a physician with, patients in hospitals, etc. But apart from that, if that's not your operation, you should really try everything that you can to devote your full attention to the client that's in front of you. Be in tune with your emotions, perhaps an empathetic comment. I understand this could be very difficult. Anything that you can do that the client feels that you're connecting with them is going to definitely encourage them to open up to you and to impart the information that you need to help them. Another big aspect of this is cultural sensitivity. There are many different cultures. You could be dealing with a situation, if it's a husband and wife, for example. In certain cultures, it's taboo for male and females don't, shake hands, etc., unless they're husband and wife. In some cultures, people are offended. You always direct, at least initially, any question or even the greeting. When you're first greeting the client as they're coming into your office and it's a couple, it's always the husband, not the wife. Again, these are, different things that you might want to make sure that your staff are trained on, because you don't want to accidentally turn someone off just simply not knowing a cultural sensitivity or a cultural difference to someone that you're seeing. The other advantage of this, obviously, is the word's going to get out that, hey, this place is culturally sensitive, and you will diversify your clients that come to see you. This is very critical. A lot, again, it goes back to current potential funding requirements, that you're satisfying and seeing a certain number of minority clients, and future potential funding applications. When they ask that question and they want to see a statistic as to how many, how diverse your agency is, this can be critical. So cultural sensitivity is an area that you really need to consider, that there are many, different avenues of staff training with it, and, whatever you do on it, even if it's small and localized, is definitely going to be beneficial. The other area is that you need someone in your organization. The dynamics change in your market area. Are there new pockets of people moving in from a particular country or area or region? Are your staff prepared to deal with them? Do you have any bilingual staff now? This isn't, all these things contribute to making someone feel comfortable. When someone picks the phone up and calls and they can talk to someone in their own language, even if it's for the initial appointment, it's going to make them more comfortable, and it's going to perhaps direct them more towards your agency versus another agency. And I want to just briefly digress for a minute and address this to nonprofits. Nonprofits especially should consider not thinking that, well, we're a nonprofit, we offer free services, the next place is 20 minutes away in another town, so people are going to come to us no matter what. You really want to look, even if that's all true, I could tell you as an example that I know there are some types of people that if they think they're going to have a better experience or a better product or service somewhere else, they'll be willing to travel. They will be willing to travel to that 20 minutes to that other town to get that service there, even if you're offering it for free, and you get reimbursed. The other thing, again, is to your statistics. Remember, whenever you apply for new funding, people, they're not only they're looking at how much you do of what you do and how well, they're trying to measure how well you do it. If people are going to be submitting applications and you are significantly below in terms of, number of clients served, and a lot of other applicants, are way ahead of you, that's going to be another factor in the funder determining where they want to direct their money to. Funders want to put their money into what they feel are agencies or organizations that are providing quality services where they can, say we're really getting a bang for the buck. We got X amount of dollars you've given it out to these X number of agencies, because we think they're the better agencies providing the service. So you don't rest on your laurels, even if you're a nonprofit offering free services. Look to any of these areas to see how you can improve it. And I can tell you for sure, if you do, and if you focus on quality, both in the interview and all the other stages of the interview, you will definitely improve short-term and possibly long-term revenue. Now, this is an area that perhaps, depending on what we do, is not so emphasized, and maybe in certain practices more so than other. But this, again, will all contribute to obtaining the information that you need to help the client as best as possible and as efficiently as possible. The language level, if you have a Harvard graduate professional speaking on a Harvard level to an 18-year-old high school student from New Jersey, you might have, some discontinuity there. So it's very important for professionals to sort of adjust the language level to the client. Again, in a non, we don't want to turn anyone off, but there is an aspect to consider in terms of language level. The speech pattern and spontaneity is the client telling you something in terms of speech patterns, conflicting emotions. These are all things to watch and to try and glean what is exactly the client really trying to tell you, using this particular term versus another. Or the strong emotional reactions of an interview. There's something called interview anxiety, where clients are very afraid to impart information, and they really need to be relaxed, and there are many different techniques. Sometimes sharing with them an experience, sometimes just general relaxation techniques for them to tell them to take a deep breath, to relax, to feel free, that they can tell them how much they want in little bits, and we'll discuss it. They're all different types of techniques in terms of dealing with a very emotional client or someone that's very quiet and not really participating. Another whole area in terms of where you can glean a lot of information, and again, this is all about staff training. You may want to look to see if there are any trainings on this, on body language and speech patterns that can benefit just about anyone in any field, regardless of what type of interview or what the goal of your interview is. Facial expressions can tell a lot. There's all kinds of books on different facial expressions, and the face is, actually very interesting in terms of all the muscle groupings and the different expressions that can be made. And there's a host of information you can tell just from facial expressions. Body posture. You can tell almost immediately if someone really is training in body posture, if the client's comfortable or not. And before you even begin to engage them, the goal would be to get them comfortable. I guarantee you if they're comfortable, they're probably going to be more forthcoming in terms of imparting the information that you want and that you need. Hand and body movement. Again, this relates a little bit to cultural, differences. There, are some cultures where people are very expressive with hand and body movement, and it pays to pay attention to that, and it pays to learn about that. It can only assist you in terms of gleaning the information that you need in order to obtain, to formulate the short and long-term goals. Now, once you've obtained the information, exactly what are you going to do with it? You want to